Good morning, everybody. My name is Muchaneta Kapfunde. Let me just make sure I can make this. Is this better? Okay, I think so. My name is Muchaneta Kapfunde. I am the founding editor-in-chief of FashNerd.com, and I'm also a fashion tech consultant, which means that I basically work with fashion brands to help them adopt the right technology for their business. Today, we're going to talk about what the textile industry should look like in the future. What I want you guys to leave this lecture with is an overview of a new textile industry and also a curiosity to want to find out more about the innovations that are changing this space. I like to start with facts first, because when people get facts and numbers, they usually are kind of shaken awake to realize what innovation is doing in terms of this space. So let's start with the first one. This fact right here is nothing new. I'm sure most of you know that textile waste has been a big problem within the textile industry. The good news is that there's quite a few tech solutions that have been introduced by various startups to help the industry itself find different ways of coming up with these problem solves. Other facts. The reason why I like to start with facts, such as the ones I've listed up here, is because I do feel like when I throw numbers at people, it gives them a really good overview of what it is and what the problem is and what we need to do to go forward. Usually, the industry, even the fashion industry, is always being told what the problem is. They're always being told we need to be a bit more sustainable, we need to stop greenwashing, and also they lack that education of all those new tech solutions that we keep hearing about. So what's the challenge that the textile industry is facing? New materials. I personally find the idea of new materials fascinating. And the reason why is because the idea that we can produce lab-grown materials, that we can come up with various ways of getting rid of the old materials and adopting the new ones is exciting to me. What I'd like to see is the education system introducing these new materials to students, because in the end, they are future designers. It's all good and well talking about the textile industry being old-fashioned and so forth, but it all comes down to the fact that we need to change. So I hope that you guys love the idea of next-gen materials, because when it comes down to it, if you're able to educate yourself and learn about these new materials, you're then able to solve the challenges that the textile industry is currently facing. So how are we building these new gen materials? A lot of the ones that are out at the moment are very much plant-based. So think pineapple, think orange peel waste. These are the types of materials that a lot of various startups are bringing to the forefront. Another exciting thing is the lab-grown innovations. I love the idea of how Stella McCartney was able to come up and work with a company here in New York that came up with a spider web type of material. And the reason why I love the fact that Stella McCartney adopted this was more to do with the fact that she's a big name in the fashion industry. So if she can partner up with startups who are doing amazing things, then why can't the industry as a whole do so? I mentioned earlier orange fiber. For those who are very familiar with Munich Fabric Start, Orange Fiber was a company that actually showcased the material here in the Key House about 3 seasons ago. They've created a type of silk that is made out of orange peel waste. So not only did they look at the challenges that textile industry is facing, they also looked at the challenges of waste that's being created as well in terms of orange peels and so forth. So how can we use waste in a creative way? So I'm going to play this video here so it gives you a much more better view of what it is that I'm referring to. Let's see if it plays. Oh, let's see. Oh, it's not playing. Okay. It was a video, but for some reason it's not playing. So I'll just tell you guys about it, because I always love videos, so I always think they give you a much more better view. Basically, Orange Fiber was started by 2 ladies in Italy, and their whole entire objective was to use orange peel waste to come and create a new type of material. They've worked with companies like Salvatore Ferragamo and created a limited collection of dresses and scarves. And they've also worked with H&M and created a collection with them as well. What I love about Orange Fiber is that they're accessible. When I spoke to one of the founders, she did say to me, I not only work with big companies, but I also love working with smaller companies. This to me is a great thing because people always assume that new textiles and all these new fabrics are being targeted to the big boys, to the H&Ms, the Zaras, type of brands. But actually some of these, oh, there we go, it's actually playing. There we go. So this kind of gives you an idea of how they came up with the fabric. Very short and sweet, but I think it gives you a really good idea of what it is that orange fiber is doing. One thing you probably notice is that science is playing a really pivotal role in helping the textile industry kind of change the way that they do business. I do really believe that when it comes to change in general, and with tackling these challenges that we're facing as an industry, it all comes down to collaboration and partnership. Because not one person knows it all. So it makes sense to me to get other parts of different industries also involved in creating, these solutions. Pineatex, this is an oldie but a favorite of mine. They came up with a way of creating a material using pineapples. I bet when you see that video, you're thinking, if it's that simple, then why is the whole industry not adopting it? I think it comes down to the fact that we need to learn how to invest in solutions such as this. It's all good and well me playing a video and showing you how they're using pineapple and not creating waste and so forth. But if no one's investing in it, then how can they take it even further? How can they scale it? So what's super duper important when it comes to these types of innovation is asking yourself, who's investing in it and how can we scale? Bioplastics. As most of you know, most traditional petroleum-based plastics are a massive problem, not only in the textile industry, but the fashion industry as well. So the idea of bioplastics is to try to have us move away from this type of material and move into something a little bit more friendlier to the earth. reason why I included this video in this lecture today was to show you how simple it can be to create your own material. You do not have to have a degree in material design. You can actually get some raw ingredients and put something together. This is a video that I do actually share a lot with some of the students that I lecture, just to kind of make them think a little bit outside the box and to kind of also feel like they can do it themselves. You know, because it's one thing being told that there's new materials out there, there's new innovations out there, but to actually be shown a video and to actually be told this is what you can do, it kind of brings people to kind of understand that it's quite simple and it's quite easy to do. Tencel, I'm sure most of you are aware of this. If you are Munich Fabric Start regulars, you're probably very much aware of this type of material. I'll play the video and then I'll kind of let you know why I've included it in my presentation. The reason why I included Tencel in my presentation was because I love the fact that they're quite transparent about their fabric. I do believe the future of textile is transparency. Brands and businesses can no longer not showcase what exactly the materials are made out of. It's super important for them not only to share that knowledge, but also to share the end life of that particular product. A lot of consumers today are wanting to know what to do with their product at the end of life. Is it biodegradable? How can I recycle this? This is the kind of information that I truly believe that the textile industry, the new textile industry, does have to realize and adopt and be able to provide that information. So as my slide says, it's time for a revolution. By this, I mean that it's no longer enough to just talk about these new materials or talk about the future of the textile industry. Now is the time for us to make that change. We know what the problem is, so what can we do to make the change? The previous slides, I talked to you about various solutions that are on offer, the different types of new materials that you can adopt or that you can educate yourself on in order to make that change. Now I'm going to move into the technology, the science, the exciting part, what I find exciting anyway. Bolt Threads. They're the company that I probably didn't mention by name, but they're the company that worked with Stella McCartney. I mentioned Stella earlier. They collaborated together and they came up with this amazing material that Stella McCartney has used in some of her collections. So I'm going to press play.
In a secret underground lab, scientists made a breakthrough discovery. They found a way to harness the power of spider silk and create a new fabric like no other before, a super fabric. It can be stronger than steel, stretchier than spandex, and softer than wool. What if they unleash it on the world? Apologies, comic narratives aren't one of our shared talents. We do, however, share a fascination with spiders and the silk they create. Here at Bolt Threads, we've developed a way to replicate the proteins from spider silk and spin them into fibers and yarns. We're using these yarns to develop sustainable, high-performance fabrics for the future. As you know, all great superheroes have humble beginnings. This tie is ours. And since you made us dream about the amazing things spiders can do, please accept our very first product, tie number 1 of 50. We hope you enjoy it.
What I like about Bolt Threads and the founder of Bolt Threads is that he is not from the fashion industry. He is not from the textile industry. He's actually a scientist. A lot of people believe that these solutions to the challenges that we face as an industry will come from another industry. It won't come from us per se. So the idea that we're able to collaborate with scientists and engineers in order to find solutions to our challenges, I do feel like is the future. Scaling. This is one of the biggest problems. We can come up with great ideas. We can even come up with an actual product, but how are we going to scale it? How are we going to make it so we're able to mass produce it? This is one of the biggest problems besides expense. So here, H&M Innovation Lab, which I'm sure most of you have heard about. For those who haven't, H&M Innovation Lab is about finding solutions for the fashion industry. They want to come up with various types of tech solutions that help the industry as a whole find solutions to some of the challenges that we're facing today. Let's see if it's a video. It's not playing. Oh, my videos are a bit jumpy today, but let's move on to consumer perception. The reason why I included consumer perception, because in today's consumer is very different from the consumer of 20 years ago. The consumer of 20 years ago didn't ask questions. They just bought and they were happy with their product. The consumer of today asks questions. They want to know, what is this made out of? What kind of material is this? What kind of factory did this get made at? What kind of buttons are these? How did you source them? They have all these questions, and I feel the textile industry needs to know how to answer them. So when it comes to being a consumer, they want to know more, so it makes sense to me to invest in innovation and solutions and all these different types of new materials. Or if not invest, at least educate yourselves. Because if you've got customers that have got questions, you need to be able to get them to answer them. So this video is just going to explain about consumer perception a little bit. If you're a textile manufacturer and you have adopted the DTC method, I think it makes sense to understand who your consumer is and to understand what it is that they want from your product. So when it comes to consumers, whether they be an everyday mainstream consumer or actually be a business, another business that you call a customer, it makes sense to me to be able to give them the information and to be transparent. The industry ecosystem, see if I can play this video first, and then we can talk about it. Very quiet video, but I kind of put it in there because I feel like people need to understand what the ecosystem is and what it requires, and also how the textile industry itself needs to change and why it needs to change. It's quite all good and well me standing up here and talking about change and so forth, but I'm kind of hoping that this mini presentation has kind of given you an idea of the various solutions that are out there that you can investigate, educate yourself on, or kind of contact and say, hey, let's talk, let's partner up, let's see what we can do together. So that's a wrap. So I hope that you guys have found this little mini presentation informative, because that was kind of my objective. I wanted to give you an idea of various solutions that are out there. I wanted to give you an overview of the new materials that you can maybe explore or look into if you're curious, just so to kind of jumpstart that transition to doing something a little different with your business. Thank you so much. Any questions? Anyone's got any questions, please feel free to raise a hand. Happy to answer them. Yes, please, madam. No? You're okay. Anyone got questions? If you need any information that was in the slides, I'm more than happy for you guys to connect with me. I'm happy to share this information, so therefore you can take it on board and, and do your own investigation or do your own research on it. And also I'm happy to answer any questions privately as well. So thank you so much for attending, and have a great stay at Munich Fabric Start. Thank you again.